Hey there, everybody. I'm Tom Day. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I am going to do another BPO workshop for all of you. I've chosen a property that I'm going to do a broker price opinion for, and you can watch the whole process from beginning to end, and I'll show you the finished product. I'll post the finished product in the description of this video for all of you to review. In the past, I've done these live via Zoom, allowing you to ask questions in real time. But I decided to just do this on my own. It was easier for scheduling. I can keep my flow of thought going at the same time. And if you do have questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments section, and I will answer them as quickly as I can, as best I can. So I've picked a property. I'm in Vermont right now. In the past, I've done BPOs in South Florida, where I used to live and still do, but I spend more time in Vermont now. And it's a totally different type of BPO, and it's a rural market. The homes are much different than obviously in South Florida. In South Florida, we don't have basements. Nothing's below grade. You dig down in Florida 2 feet and you're going to hit water. So there's no basements there. So that's one of the major differences. Another big difference about the market I'm in here now is, the homes are much older. Some of the comps could be up to 200 years old. You don't see that in Florida, obviously. And they're it's a much, it being a more suburban, urban type of market, comps are plentiful, and they're very similar as well. Working in a smaller market, more rural market, the comps can be wildly different. So it can take a lot more time to choose the right comparables for that reason. It's necessary to make a bit more commentary because a lot of times you're going to fall out of the normal tolerances set for BPOs. And it really, you can get around that just by making good commentary on why you think a particular comparable is the best that you're going to find, and how it compares and should be adjusted compared to the subject property. So let's dive right into it. I picked a property that's bank owned. I don't think anybody will get tweaked if I talk about this property. It's located in Sharon, Vermont. A really small town, in the sticks, as what we would call it. Here's an overhead view of the property. You'll see the surrounding area is what looks like agriculture. I haven't been out to the property for the scope of this project here. I wasn't going to drive all the way out there and take photos or anything. I'm just going to assume that it's in average condition. And as I was saying, you can see that the surrounding areas, there aren't many homes for one thing. It looks like mostly agriculture, undeveloped forest land. And if I zoom out, you can see that, it's in the middle of nowhere, essentially. There is a highway about 10 miles or so away, but it's pretty remote. So I'm probably going to have a tough time finding suitable comparables for this property. I'm going to begin by, let me show you what I'm going to be doing this form on before I get into that. In most times, almost always, you're going to be using whatever vendor you're working for. You're going to be using their website. You're going to enter the data into their website. Since I'm not doing one for a vendor right now, I couldn't possibly do that because they don't like you sharing that kind of information with the public. So I created this form on Google Sheets that allow me to demonstrate this. It's fillable. It functions almost like one of the vendor's websites. I'm going to share this with everybody. I've already posted it in my Facebook group. So if you want a copy of this, you can use it to practice. So you can use it for any BPO you want to do. Do whatever you want with it. It's posted on the Facebook group, and I've left a link to the Facebook group. If you're not part of it yet, please join. So back to the property. Here's the tax records. This is a home that was built in. Here we go. Here are the particulars. It was built in 1993. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with 1,728 square feet of living area. It has a basement of 684. That would be below grade. A total of 7 rooms and 2 stories. I'm going to assume it's a cape because there's a lot of capes out there. And what else? It's bank owned, as you can see. It's not on the market yet. I don't know how long it's been owned by the bank, but perhaps someday it'll come to market. What I'm going to do is I do a lot of cut and paste. I take the address, I paste it into the form. So best practices are, one thing I'll note is, even though I'm doing a lot of cut and paste, I don't like to I only use capital letters where appropriate. I see a lot of people that will type in all capital letters. I think it looks terrible, and I find it hard to read. I think your form should look good, use good punctuation, good grammar. You want your BPO to look professional. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to enter in the particulars for the subject property. It's located in an a rural area. It's a fee simple property. The lot size is 2.7 acres. The view, I'm going to say it has a green space view. Design appeal, this doesn't apply. I'll have to. Quality of construction, I'm going to say average. Year built, 1993. Condition, average. Okay, so I have inputted all the information on the subject property. It's in a rural neighborhood. It's a fee simple, not a leasehold. It has 2.7 acres. The view is a green space. Design appeal, that doesn't apply at this time. Quality of construction, I'm going to say average. Year built, 1993. Condition, average. It has 7 total rooms, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 0 partial bathrooms, 1,728 square feet above grade, 864 below grade, and 0% finished below grade. It has central heat, oil. It has no cooling, no garage bays, no pool, a deck, a fireplace, and no other amenities like hot tub, sauna, outbuilding, shed, workshop, that kind of thing that you would enter there. So I'm going to come back to all of this stuff, the subject marketability. I like to do that at the end. Same with the market conditions. Once I've gathered my comparables and entered that data in, then I go back and fill in that kind of stuff. So I'm going to my MLS, and I'm going to start my search. Before I start my search, I create a well, I create a couple carts. All the MLSs that I've used have the cart feature where you can save your properties that you're going to be using to. I find that I'll be working on on a BPO, and then the phone rings and I got to answer questions about another property in the MLS. So I lose my place. I find that if I put all the properties that I'm going to be using in a cart, I can always shut down the MLS and come back to it later. So I have some carts set up, and I'm going to be putting my comparables right in there. So let's start with the search. I do a map search because this is a rural property. I can go out 5 miles in a suburban neighborhood. You can go out 1 mile. You can always stretch those if you have trouble finding comparables, but you have to make decent commentary as to why you had to do that. So I'm going to start with a closed status, and going back a year. I go back a year because I already know my experience in this market area is that I'm going to have a tough time finding properties that are 3 months old, 6 months old. I probably wouldn't find three. So I go back a year in time, and then I'm going to go out 5 miles. And hopefully I can find enough properties that match. Okay, there's the subject property on Brook Road. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to do a 5 mile search and see what we get. So there are 28 closed properties. 28 closed properties. So I might get lucky here and I might find enough. So I'm going to dial in my criteria a little bit sharper now with if it's 1,728 square feet of living area, my comparables should be within 20% of that. Now, you want to check with every, you've seen in my prior videos, I've shown you the BPO standards that we generally use. Those are still posted in the Facebook group. You can go find them there. And some vendors may have slightly different standards that they want you to go by. It might be the length of the age of the property, the comparable that they're concerned about, the size, distance, whatever, or type. Whether it's a arm's length sale, whether it's REO, they'll tell you what they're looking for. Always check for their special instructions before you proceed. So to keep within 20% of 1,728 square feet, I'm going to multiply that by 0.8. That means 13. I can go as low as 1382. And to get my max, I take 1728 and I multiply it by 1.2. And that'll give me my max, 2,074. So I'm going to enter that into the MLS here. do another search, and it looks like I got 8 properties to choose from. So now I'm going to tighten up my criteria even further with the year built. See if I can get enough that are within 10 years. 1983 to 2003. Oh wow, look at that. Exactly 3. All right, this is this one that this one looks to be in good condition. This one at that price, I'm guessing it's in fairly good condition as well. Now these are all in good condition. Uh, I really want to have at least one, preferably 2 comparables that match the subject property's condition. So I'm going to take my map search and I'm going to go out a little further. Okay, so by going out to 10 miles, I got 11 properties to choose from. And I'm going to try and find some comparables that are closer to the subject property's condition. Well, this one's kind of rustic. I'm going to pass on that one for now, anyway. Here's a ranch style home. Yeah, I would call this average. You see, it's no recent updates to it. Um, Not a lot of deferred maintenance either. So I would put that one in the category of average. I'll put a check mark for now. Maybe I'll come back, change my mind. This one is sold for 400,000. Some older carpet. The kitchen. Obviously not new, not bad, but it's not new by any stretch. I think that's a definite possibility as well. So there's 2. This one has a swimming pool. I'm probably going to pass on this one just for the fact it has a swimming pool. In Vermont, a swimming pool adds almost no value. In some cases, it actually is a negative. You can only use them 3 months, and they're very expensive to maintain. So I'm going to pass on this one. All right, this one has 5 acres. Uh, has a newer kitchen-ish. It's probably 10 or 15 years old at least, but that one's borderline average good. Let's just see what else we got here. 1986. Sometimes just choosing the comps can be the most time consuming part of the process. Again, that's probably a 20, 30-year-old kitchen, but this is a fairly average home. I know Hartford is quite a distance from Sharon, so I'm going to pass it. Here's one right in Sharon, so I'm probably going to use this one as my last one. So I'm going to use that one as my good, my example of a good one. So I have two average and one good. I think that's a good balance, and I'll show you why later on. I'm going to put these in my listing cart, or my cart here. And now I'm going to choose my competing comparables, what's listed. So I'll just change the status to active. There's only 3 active that fit the size and age in that 10-mile radius. I'm going to add active under contract and even pending. That didn't change anything. All right, we might be stuck with these 3 properties. And the first one, from the exterior, it looks very, I would call average. This one, yeah, I would say this one is borderline between good and average. It has only a half-acre lot, which isn't ideal. This one has a 3/4 acre lot, and from the exterior, it looks kind of average so far. Now it has a fairly modern. I'm going to put. I would say that one is fairly good. That's a good property. Funny thing is, I've seen some of these listings before. I've used this as a comparable in prior BPOs. It's got a great distant mountain view there. But otherwise, the home is falling into more or less the average. All right, so I'm going to use all 3 of them. They look fine. I'm just going to check them off, throw them in the cart. All right, so I'm not going to, you're not going to have to watch me input all this data, which is the dullest part of doing BPOs, but I'm going to show you a couple housekeeping kind of things that may help you systemize your BPO process. I create a folder on my Google Drive. This is where all my BPOs are, and I do it by address, obviously. And then I put photos of each. Then I put photos of each comparable in that folder. I label closed sale CS1, closed sale 1. Throw it in the folder. CS2 for closed sale 2. CS3 for closed sale 3. and so on. Um, and I also, not all vendors will want a copy of the MLS, but I find many of them do. And if they do, I just throw copies in there, label them the same as I label my pictures. Okay, so you see there in my folder for this BPO, I have my pictures and my MLS, and they're all labeled. So when I go to input them later, they're easy to find. I know which ones they are, and that's the way I suggest you do it. All right, I'll be right back after I input all of this data. Okay, so I've uh, I've entered in all the data here, and I'm about to start making some adjustments. Not every vendor needs to see your adjustments. Some of their forms may skip it altogether. It'll be up to you to maybe do that on some kind of a spreadsheet, or you could use this if you want. Uh, so we'll begin by uh, running through these line by line. If they're the same, then they get no adjustment. So I'll just throw in a 0. Here I am at the lot size, and the subject property has 2.7 acres. Comparable sale 1 has exactly twice that. So I, in this area, I am adjusting about $3,000 an acre. So in this case, I'm going to put in 9. The I'm going to adjust it $9,000. And because the comparable has more acres, I'm going to be making a negative adjustment here. So I have to hit the negative sign, and then I'm going to put in $9,000. View is similar, so no adjustment there, no adjustment there. Quality of construction the same. For years, I'm not going to make an adjustment. Condition, no adjustment. I don't generally adjust for rooms unless there's something unique about the rooms. I always do adjust for bedrooms and bathrooms. In this case, this one matches, so it's no adjustment. For a half bathroom, I know a lot of you are probably going, getting a little anxious about where am I going to find the data? Where am I going to find the data? Well, it's just a question of knowing your market. What is a bathroom worth in your marketplace? What is a bedroom worth in your marketplace? And in your marketplace, it's going to vary by price point. I found that at this price point in this area, a bathroom is worth about $5,000. Don't overthink it. A partial bathroom might be worth $2,500. Since this one is superior, I'm going to be negative $2,500. Now we have to make an adjustment for the living area. I won't make an adjustment if it's within 100 square feet. In this case, I'll have to do a little bit of math here, but the difference I'll pull up my calculator here. The subject is 1728 minus 1574. So that gives me the difference. Now, am I going to, back up here. This form has calculated my price per square foot. It's up on this line here, and it's between 250 and 278. Am I going to use all of that? No, that would really put things wildly off. We use a fraction of all that because there are different factors involved in the price per square foot. Namely, the biggest one is the land underneath it. I generally are using a fraction of that, somewhere between 20 and 50%. With the condos, since there's no land, and if you get something that's very similar, it's closer to 100%. Then you can use near 100% per square foot number. But in this case, I'm going to use $50 a square foot. So I'm going to take 50 times 154, and I'm going to round that up to the nearest $1,000. I don't generally make adjustments for basements unless there's something unique about it. Or there is, if there is a highly finished basement, we might make an adjustment for that. Heating is all the same. There's no cooling. Garage, no difference in this one. 0. These are all the same. So let's go on to the next comparable. Comparable number 2. Same. This one is about 1.5 acres. So I am going to adjust that in a positive way because this one has less than the subject. This comparable has a mountain view as opposed to greenscape. That might be worth something to somebody, but since it's superior, I'm going to adjust that by $5,000. And this is just by knowing my market. That's the same. That's the condition, quality of construction is the same. I'm not going to adjust for the year again. Condition is the same. Here we have a smaller bedroom count. I found that $7,500 for a bedroom in this area is about right. We've decided that a bathroom is worth $5,000, and a half bathroom is $2,500. And this one has more, so we're subtracting. All right, and this has a smaller living area. So pull up my calculator again. 528 times 50 rounded to the nearest 1,000 is 26,000. Okay, this one has a garage with 2 bays, and the subject has no garage. I found that a garage bay is worth about $5,000 in this area. So this is going to be a negative because we have more than the subject property. And I find that there's really no big difference between an attached garage or a detached garage. Maybe it's different in your market, but I'm going to make no adjustment for that. Oh, this one didn't have a deck of any kind. $2,500 for a deck, perhaps. Fireplaces. I find that really fireplace doesn't make a huge difference in value. Everybody seems to have them in Vermont. All right, finally, we're going to do one last one. Comparable sale number 3. This has the same acreage as sale 2, so I'm going to use the same adjustment amount, $5,000. Same green space. That was an accident. I'll correct that and make no adjustment. Now this one was in good condition compared to the rest of the comparables, which are average. So we're going to make a negative adjustment since this is a superior condition. I find that for a home this size in this marketplace, the difference between an average and a good home is $35,000. So I'm making a negative adjustment of $35,000. Bedroom count or bed and bath are the same. GLA, gross living area, is the same. So this has 2 bays. Oh, I screwed up. I just noticed that I had 2 bays and they're worth $5,000 a piece. So this should be a $10,000 adjustment. And this one is also a $10,000 adjustment, a negative adjustment. All right, so the adjustments are done. I'll also point out that I filled in the comments for each comparable. Your vendor might want your own comments. They might want you to cut and paste the MLS comments. They might want you to do both. I find, so in this case, I did my own comments, and what I do is I highlight what will be important to the buyer in this case, whether it's a negative factor or a positive factor. I'll try and point all of those out. Things like curb appeal, looks. I noticed an older roof that doesn't look very appealing. I'll point out views, things that the buyer will care about and might affect value. So I'm going to skip forward and fill this all out for you. I'll see you in a minute. All right, we got one more section to fill out. I finished up the adjustments for the comparables, the listed comparables, and I'll come back to that in a second. After we finish up the top section, the general market conditions. The area market is stable. Same with employment. Supply of inventory, definitely a shortage. Area values have been mostly stable. If it's within 3% or if it's less than 3% growth or decline, if it's something close between 0 and 3%, that's generally considered a stable environment. And really, I've noticed that median sales in the area are running only less than 2% per year for the last 12 months. So I'll put that in. I will point out that I sometimes use RPR as a resource for market data. You might want to check it out if you're not already. I can get some pretty good data on the neighborhood. Sharon being kind of a really sparsely populated area, I can't really rely on median sales value. It definitely hasn't dropped 12%. You know how median values are, but we do have some pretty accurate housing data, and some vendors will want to know what the percentage of homeowners there are compared to renters, and they do have a pretty decent data on it, dialed down even to zip code, county, state. So if you're not using RPR for your data. It's real easy to find the data. Um, I like using it for uh, that especially. You'll want to fill out, and I'll fill this out. You just use your MLS, and they'll want to know what the number of comparable sales are in the area that are within the same size range, bed count, condition, that kind of thing. There are no boarded up homes. Rent. When it comes to rent, I'm you might laugh at me, but um, Zillow actually has fairly decent, accurate rental information or rental estimates. So I would at least look at it. The Zestimate or the estimate for rent is about $3,000, which to me for a three bedroom in that area is pretty close. I think um, it's not the Zestimate's way off. I think it's going to come higher, but we'll get to that later. I, I do I do often at least peek at the rental estimate on Zillow because they do have a lot of rental data, and the rental data in Vermont is really sparse. People don't list their properties in the MLS, so finding rental data it can be tough in this market. Um, and really, that's why I kind of rely a little bit on Zillow for an estimate of what the rentals are going to be. I'm going to say $3,000 because I think that's reasonably accurate. Home values in here are between 200 and 550. The subject is an appropriate improvement. Average marketing time. You're going to want to use the average days on market for your three comparables, which is in this case it's 33, 11, and 18, and that makes 62. So we have an average marketing time for the comparables of 20. So that's the number I want to put on the average marketing time. Is all financing available? Yes. And really what they're often looking for here is they want to know whether it would qualify for VA or FHA financing. And in this case, I don't see why not. Has the subject been on the property? I mean, been on the market in the last 12 months? No. And if it was, you would put the MLS and what the price was, and maybe a short blurb on why it didn't sell. This is a single-family detached home, no HOA or condo association, so I leave that blank. You'll notice in my form here, the cells that are blue should be filled out. And when you're filling in your vendor's form, you should fill in every cell they have, even if it's something that is not applicable. You just put NA. If it's a number they're looking for, and then fill it in with zeros if that's all you have. Just don't leave anything blank in your BPOs. It just doesn't look good. Notice that I've filled in, and with all the blue spots, I've filled everything in. And now the good part here, we're gonna, repairs. Uh, I'm going to assume that I saw no repairs. If you're doing a drive-by, there's really, don't make assumptions other than what you can see. If you see paint peeling, then you're going to put in a new paint job. Maybe that's $10,000 for an exterior paint job. Or you see fascia that's all coming apart, or you notice that the roof is near failing. Figure out what the cost of a roof might cost. You enter all that in right here in that section. So we're gonna try and come up with an estimate of what the as-is value, a repaired value, and a 30-day quick sale value. Since all of these properties sold in less than 30 days, except for this one, comparable sale, and I'm in a low inventory market, my number is going to come in just a bit above comparable sale 1. And you really want to point out what the closest matching property is. And in this case, I picked number 2 as the closest matching property. It had the fewest adjustments made. So 307 is the closest matching to this. Sale number 1 is also pretty close. Sale 3 had, I was in much better condition. Maybe the condition justified more than a $35,000 adjustment. I just look at this as kind of an outlier. I can't figure out why exactly it sold for so much more. And in a market like this, where homes are so completely different oftentimes, I just don't give that one much weight at all. I focus on the ones that are closest to this. And I'm going to put it somewhere around, I'm going to put this at $340,000. And that kind of brackets it between the low and the high. And I'm going to take a look at the current competing properties. I want, ideally, my as-is value is going to be bracketed by the listed properties after adjustments as well. So the low listed property after adjustments is 334 rather, and this one is, another outlier. I'm not giving that much attention. So my as-is value estimate is going to be $340,000. Repaired value is going to be the same, since I didn't notice any needed repairs. And my 30-day quick sale value is going to be, I'm going to put it right between these two. I'm going to say $310,000, because this one sold in 11 days. So I think that justifies a good quick sale value. And then they want your suggested list price. I try and keep it within $10,000. In this case, $349. $349 again. And $319. That gives a reasonable buffer within 2%. And there you have it. There's my estimated market value. Now, you need to write kind of a narrative about how you came to these values. I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to write a little narrative and come back to it in a second. Okay, so I was having a little trouble with my form. I'm going to have to make some tweaks to it, but I figured a way to insert my addendum into the form for now, and I'll just read it to you. The subject property is located in a sparsely populated market area with low inventory and low sales volume. Due to the low number of comparable properties, it was necessary to extend the search out 10 miles and back 12 months. A closed sale 2 is the closest match to the subject and was given most weight in determining the estimated value. A closed sale 2 is also a close match. Closed sale 3 appears to be an outlier and was not given much consideration. Closed sale 2 sold in 11 days. The quick sale estimate is derived from sale 2 after adjustments. So that's essentially what I did. I pointed out some of the particulars about the market, what's happening in the market, what my search was consisted of, and how I came up with my opinion for the price. And opinion is the key word here. I'm creating an opinion here based on the data, and I've input all the data. So I've pretty much covered all my bases here. That's it. That's it for this BPO. If you have any questions about what I've put down here, please put them in the comment section, and I'll try to answer them as quickly as possible. And as always, if you found this interesting, I hope you subscribe to my channel. Hit that like button for me. It really helps me out. I'm Tom Day. Thanks for watching.